Only way to go, Tommy's up if you're a bottom feeder, so that'll be good for that. All right, so question number 10. We're going to run through these things briefly for you. No, because you have the answers in your packet. I don't want you knowing if your answer is right or wrong. I told you to put them in your packet.
You said, you already said on this one.
Well, using the lump attached to your neck, what did you put for 10?
I circled that one. I put B.
Which one?
B.
B?
Yeah.
I had confidence you would get this one right. Because everybody got this one right. So that's a smiley face for us. So yeah, number 10 was B. Everyone had B for number 10. So good job with that one. Number 11. Still had high success rate with this one. Question's a little bit different because before you're kind of dealing with just general content of what's going on with the story. For number 11, read the sentences from the passage and then they give these to you. How does the author's use of imagery in the sentences help to communicate an idea? What would be, and I know we were highlighting before, and you might not have highlighted specific words, what would be words in this passage where you have imagery occurring? Like what would be specific imagery words within these sentences that we have here? After Ben starts yawning, or stops, there we go. Give me one word that would be like imagery from this passage for number 11. I'll come to you next. Krusty?
Dang it. Crusted.
There we go. Anyone know what a lichen is?
It's like a moss.
Yeah, like if sheds and roofs and stuff like that, that roofs that have damp, you'll get those. So you were going to go with crusted, Devin? Weedy, so far as the path, weedy gravel path. We have full of cobwebs, bare, gloomy, all those kinds of things here. So without even worried about what the answers are, connotation of the imagery, if we're talking about something that's crusted, weedy, cobwebs, bare, gloomy, it seems to have a fairly negative connotation with it. Which one of these answers would use that negative connotation? A?
Yeah.
Dealing with deterioration. Survey says down here at the bottom, therefore, option A reflects the use of vivid language that portrays the house in poor condition. So that would be the correct response. About three quarters of us were getting A for 11, or for B, or for number 2, depending which numbering we're looking at here. Number 12, we were pretty good with this one. George, what'd you do for 12? Synonym for dilapidation? Going B, disrepair, and yep, that answer is going to be B.
Pretty good. Once we get to the actual pieces, I'm definitely going to try. But this stuff,
If you don't start practicing now trying for it, I don't have the confidence that you're necessarily going to do it then. Did you try for 13?
What? Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't ask for your answer.
I gotta remember it.
Tommy, what'd you do for 13? D, active restoring. Good job. Everyone got 13. The most commonly missed question was number 14. And this was the one that I was expecting to be the most commonly missed question. So what you have, read an incomplete summary of the passage. Incomplete's an important term, also is summary. So if you're talking about a summary, you're talking about a whole overview of the excerpt of the passage that we have. So it's not necessarily little details, but an overall picture of it. Kathy is looking for a house for her family. Her daughter Charlie's disappointed with the condition and location of the house. Kathy's excited by all the possibilities that the house offers for their happiness. Then we got to figure out what this very last option would be. I'm thinking that most people were narrowing it down to 2 options. I'm hearing A and then C. C. Any others, folks, taking a look at? Someone say B.
Hey, no, it's
Okay. Why is it A?
Ben said B.
You're an overall summary of a C.
So still dealing with that overall aspect of it. Stops trying to discuss with her mother the negative aspects of the house. Is she upset that it's in a rural area? Yes. And I would say with C, what do we kind of already have? The location of the house would be that it's rural. I could also see some folks maybe kind of mentioning D because she concerns about the cost of driving lessons at the end of the passage. But that overall summary, the answer you're going to go with is A.
The first one. I'm sorry, bro.
Is it always the first one?
The first one I got wrong.
Oh, that's the first one you got wrong. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, how many questions have we answered so far? 1, 2, 3, 4. The clip that we want you to be at minimum would be 3 out of every 4 sentences, or out of every questions. You're at 75% clip. You're going to be okay so far as the way that they score the Keystone. So if you can get 3 out of every 4 in those little chunks, you end up being okay. 15 was the second most commonly missed question. Oops, along with. Did you see that answer, Court? Which sentences from the passage best supports the generalization that a positive attitude can influence one's perceptions? So, A, they went together on Saturday, raw autumn day that was more like winter, stirring memories of foggy mornings and afternoons by 4:30. She thought of long winter evenings marooned, miles away from her friends. Charlie guessed she saw climbing roses and honeysuckle, not dereliction and decay. Charlie saw ramshackle outbuildings that looked like they'd better be pulled down before they collapsed. Zach, is that a hand up?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I say the answer?
If it's the correct one.
And it sure is. It's C.
Why?
Because she says, well, this is a good thing, not a bad thing.
Trying to guess though.
Okay, so roses, honeysuckle, better than like the lichens and weeds and things like that type of imagery we had before. Important term here would be not dereliction and decay, which would be negative. If you take a look at the other ones, a raw autumn day doesn't really sound too positive. Foggy mornings, dark by 4:30, long winter evenings, marooned here, pulled down, ramshackle, negative connotation, negative connotation, negative. This one more positive, answer C.
You know I got the last 2 right. So I only missed 2. I only missed.
I know you got 16 right,
Yeah.
because everyone got 16 right.
2 out of 8.
Answer for that one being observant. And then when it comes to 17, which for me I think is on the next page, best represents the conflict.
B.
I think it came down to A and B for a lot of folks.
What?
Did I say?
B, I think dealing with the idea of moving. I think some folks are looking at Flightsend as being the conflict itself. You really have the conflict between 2 people. Answer for this one, B.
I was thinking like, I don't know, it might be a bad place if she was smiling, you know what I'm saying? Like the rain's bad, but she was still happy about it. Like the place was bad, but she's still happy about it.
For D?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not the conflict.
Yeah, like because
I was thinking more metaphorically.
and if you're dealing with the conflict, it's probably going to be in a little bit more literal terms. And so the use of the word moving here is like the key issue that they're dealing with. You could argue that for D, hey, she's liking the rain. She's not bothered by the house as much as Charlie is. But the direct answer, if there is a more direct answer where it's not asking about metaphor and all that stuff, go with the more direct one. Okay. All right. You picked up then 2 pages when you came in. This one being one of them, where you have a scoring rubric on a front. The back of the page has basically the same thing that question 18 was in your packet, question with a whole bunch of lines coming after it. And then you also have a breakdown, an outline, constructive response question with here. Explanation of what we're dealing with. When you take the keystone, so when Luke says he's going 100% in all effort, you're going to walk like an old man on your way through the keystone?
Yes, for sure. I'll walk like an old man every day.
2-day test, 3 passages each day. One day they're going to be fiction, one day they're going to be non-fiction. Of those 6 passages total, 4 of them are going to have an essay, not essay question, a constructive response question to them. Important thing to keep in mind for keystone tests, regardless of the test that you're taking. I don't know if anyone has to take the bio or algebra this year. Literature the same way, unlimited time. So even though they might say you should finish in the next 10 minutes or 20 minutes or 30 minutes, you have as much time as you need to answer the question. The constructive response questions, it's a simple scoring rubric of 0 going up to 3. So 3 means that you have clear, accurate analysis taking place with the passage. Number 2, you're kind of getting there, but it's partial analysis for the most part. Number 1, you probably have an argument, but you don't really have any real details taking place. And 0 would be something where you're off base or totally incorrect. If someone were to write an answer to a question like this, I once moved when I was 5, you're getting a 0 because you're not responding to the question whatsoever. If you were to do something like clearly Charlie does not want to move the way that Kathy does, you're probably going to be stuck down in the 1 territory because you don't have any evidence that's going to be coming from it whatsoever. Question that you have for here. Read following sentences from the passage. Then you get the conversation taking place that they already had. What does it mean? Flight's end, she asked. I don't know. Flight's end, flight's end. Well, that's what it is, isn't it? An end to, well, everything that's gone wrong. And this was something that we had kind of mentioned before. Who's talking about that it's an end to everything that's gone wrong of the 2 characters? This is the mom, Kathy. Kathy/mom. Charlie thought, I don't want ends, I want beginnings. Analyze significance of these sentences to the passage. Use the information from the passage to support your analysis. So this is kind of a general term that it uses here. Why is this a significant conversation? Not looking for you to write anything down yet. Why is it a significant conversation to understanding the passage with the conversation between Kathy and Charlie? Why is it important for us?
Because it shows what, like, they both won.
Conflict.
Yeah. It yeah.
What does Kathy want?
She wants to move and have a new beginning.
Okay. She wants to end everything that has gone wrong. I don't want ends, I want beginnings. What's Charlie's main reason for not wanting to move?
Friends. Social life. Social life.
Friends, social life. How old is she?
A teenager.
We got an exact age at the end.
Oh, did
Next year she'll be 17. So she's currently 16 years old, soon to be 17. What is she at basically within her life so far as friends, social life? She's at the beginning of it, so she's looking to kind of start something new with her life at this point. So she certainly does not want to move. Now, the sheet, the separate sheet that you have, not the one with the questions, but the one here that says Keystone Constructed Response. I need everyone to take this page out. Thank you.
which one?
This one.
Oh, I got it.
Jaquez, Dribble, you need heads up for this one. For this sheet, when you do your constructive response questions, what I'm looking for is a 10-sentence answer. This is not a formal essay. What's that face for?
10 sentences.
You're writing one paragraph. You are not writing an essay. At this point, we've done 3 formal essays throughout the year. You did the one for Oedipus Rex, Metamorphosis, and then you did the Martine one. All of those were 5 paragraphs. A lot of those within the body paragraphs, you were writing 10 to 12 sentences. Purposely started you with lengthier writing assignments, so when it comes to this keystone response question, you're going, it's not all that bad. A lot of the elements, though, that we used within those big essays, or those larger essays, you're still going to use within these. Acronym for you to kind of keep in the back of your mind when you start to do a constructive response is going to be RACE. I don't want you to race toward the end and go through it super quick, but I want you to at least think about that you're going to restate the wording of the question, you're going to restate it to make it your overall argument or your thesis, and within that same statement, you're going to answer the general question. So the question says, analyze the significance of these sentences to the passage, use information from the passage to support your analysis. What would be a rewording of the question that would be a thesis statement that we could use, that would answer the question? How can we take these 2 sentences and turn it into a thesis statement for us? I'm not worried about background, not worried about transition sentences, I'm not worried about a hook or an attention grabber. How can you take that first sentence and turn it into an argument? Now I want you, this sentence right here.
Oh, that sentence?
Yep.
Oh, that's impossible. The significance of the sentences on the passage to the passage. What?
The significance of these sentences to the passage. You can write this word for word. You're going to have to write the response anyway, so you getting a sentence out of the way is a good thing. The significance of these sentences to the passage is that they do what?
Show the conflict between Catherine and what's the other Charlie?
You know what my least favorite word is
Catherine?
when it comes to essays?
Charlie?
Because, if, when, the
No, it was one that you said.
Show.
Ooh, you just said it again.
show.
I don't like the word show.
Me neither. It's icky.
So don't write the word show, even though I did. The significance of these sentences to the passage is that they, what would be a word that we could use instead of show? Provide, represent. You could even do something like highlight, prove, reveal. I would try to come up with something different than show. I'll let you pick what you want. Logan, you said provide, and Jillian, you said represent. Both of those would be perfectly fine. What do they represent? What do they provide?
Provide the base of the conflict.
The what of the conflict?
The base.
B-A-S-E?
Yes.
What could I add to this?
Period.
No. Still words.
You're on the run on, man.
Not yet.
Between, oh yeah, I see. Between Catherine.
You could put Kathy and Charlie. You could put Charlie and her mom.
That was one sentence.
18 more to go.
I would say we should probably include one more sentence based on with it's answering the question.
So 10 more.
Hmm?
10 more?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
6 more.
And keep in mind that 10, if you hit those 10, you are definitely fine. If Luke were to write 9 sentences, Tommy, you write 9 sentences. That doesn't mean you're not going to pass when you take the Keystone. But I want you to get in the habit of supporting as much information, providing as much information as you can. We've already said this. What is, and then I'll get to your question. What is the conflict between the two of them?
One wants to stay and one wants to go.
Who wants to stay? Who wants to go? I'd specify which one.
Charles.
Kathy wants to go and Charlie wants to stay.
So Charlie's, you could write mom or mother wants to move while Charlie does not. I'm sorry? Sure. Like for that's like Charlie's mom wants to move, however Charlie does not. Yeah, that'd be perfectly fine. Do you have to put a comma before however? Nope. Good job.
I have another question. So, whenever I took the biopsy notes, they made it like real comparative whether you did good on the open-ended, specifically comparative whether you did good on the
You well. There's not like a. This is a terrible answer to a good question, so I'm apologizing in advance. There's not like a point value for each question where you go this one. Like the essay, it says is worth 3 points. The questions, the multiple choice questions, are worth 1. Your point value though is out of 1,800, so they get weighted a little bit differently. The constructive response is going to be about a third. So yes, it's important, it's imperative that you do well in the constructive response because let's say you do, and answering 75% of multiple choice questions is doing very well, but then you completely bomb the essay or you don't, I shouldn't say essay, the constructive response, you don't do it, whatever happens, you just write sentences like I moved when I was 5, you're not going to pass the Keystone. Most of the people over the years, as long as I've been teaching English 10, I don't mean just the folks that I've taught, but like in the building, most of the people who don't pass the Keystone miss it by 5 to 15 points. Now, there's different circumstances for everyone. I think chances are most people were probably in good shape going into the free response questions, and then they just didn't put in the time, necessary time, effort to answer it, and that's probably why they did not answer. So, I don't want to make it sound like it is more important than the multiple choice, because the multiple choice is worth more points. But I think there's a better chance of people kind of starting to slip, on that effort level when it comes to the constructive response. It's always one question for each passage. I mean, there's going to be a couple passages where they won't give you a question, but you're not going to have to answer multiple constructive response questions for one passage. And you're always looking at 7 or 8 multiple choice questions per passage. So I think it's easy to just kind of maintain focus on each passage because you don't have to be dealing with 20 questions, on each one. I thought you were going to ask me a significant important question.
Yeah.
You ask me a significant important question, then I'll let you go to the bathroom. They'll be more difficult for you because I'm not taking them.
May I go now?
Not quite yet. I didn't finish answering your question. I don't think they're hard. What I think becomes a problem, though, Tommy, and everyone else, is that it's May, it's the end of the year, the weather starts getting nicer, you're doing a lot of things, and in some cases people kind of start to clock out a little bit. The part that could, if you were to simply write this as your answer to the essay, and you were done, you're looking at a 1. What are we missing? And then I'll let you go to
The AC.
The beef.
Well, we actually got the R and the A, because we restated,
The C.
and then we even kind of answered here with the conflict. What's the C?
Site.
Cite, and then explain. So how many examples can we pull from the passage?
12.
There's no reason why we wouldn't be able to pull 3 of them. So if you cite an example, give a 2-sentence explanation, cite example 1 sentence, 2-sentence explanation, 3 sentences. You do that 3 times, how many do you end up with in total? 9, plus what we just wrote, 10, 11 sentences, you're done. Not even that. Now, the good thing for us, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted you to highlight stuff, not that you necessarily knew what the question was going to be, but you've already gone through the passage, although my highlighting disappeared, you've already gone through the passage and started to find specific examples that would work for this. So the important thing is to make sure when you are going through your constructed response, coming up with your examples, that you do pick examples that are going to prove that Kathy wants to move, whereas Charlie does not. So you're going to have to do a little bit of an explanation as to why these examples show that difference between the beginnings and the endings of the paragraph. Formal essays, we did an introduction where you were really worried about attention grabber, transition, background, thesis. For this, all you need is the thesis. Then we did 3 body paragraphs where you were pulling an example from each and going into detail. You're going to pull 3 examples, go into detail, and then that is the response. You don't have to worry about conclusions. So what's the next step? I would go through now the passage, and this would be what you want to do. Find what your 3 examples are going to be. I wouldn't start writing them immediately, because you might find an example. What would be the best order to put your examples? Probably the best thing is to go chronological. So I wouldn't want Shai to find an example she likes, writes it down, then she finds another one that came before it. The order's going to seem kind of hard. So go through, find what your 3 examples would be, then you can cite them, then you can do like a 2-sentence explanation for it. On your sheet that has the breakdown of race, so restate, answer, cite, explain, I then gave you, this kind of structure to follow. Understand, the keystone people are not looking specifically for a simple, a complex, a compound sentence. You don't have to follow that. But what would I like you to do is at least vary your sentence structure so you're not always using the same ones. So Logan, you mentioned, can I write however? Yeah, I would like that because you're getting a complex sentence then taking place with it. Or although, some kind of transitions and things of that nature. Alright. So we still have about 6 minutes. Start going through the packet, locate examples, ask me questions if you have them about will this example work. You're going to give to me, you're going to give me this sheet back on Monday with your response. So the one that is on the back of your packet, you can even kind of use that as a brainstorm sheet if you want, but this one that you got with the rubric, you're going to give to me on Monday.
If it wasn't so cold out.
We could go time.
That's a response of a 0 because you're off topic.
What?
Keep them out, tell me, keep out the stuff.
No, I know.
Okay, I want you to start looking through examples and I'll come around and see if you need anything. Oh, yeah, you're gonna be set free in a few minutes.
No, I don't want to do this.
Because when push comes to shove, you're gonna put in your effort, right?